All right. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is Stefan Music Art, and today we are having the atomic clock, human drum machine, and personally, my idol, Gene Hoglan. Hello, my friend. How are you
Uh,
today?
that is very kind of you, Casper. Thank you very much. Greetings. How are you? I'm happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
I'm really glad you're here with me. So you're in a rehearsal room, or?
I am, yeah. We got back off the road a few days ago, and my schedule never stops. So I just always have to be down here in the room
Yeah.
rehearsing for something. I mean, this is my brand new kit. Let me see. Hopefully that comes out pretty good. That
Uh,
is it's a Pearl Reference One, and it is matte black with black nickel hardware. And this is flat out the most violent, vicious kit I've ever played in my life. I
mhm.
just can't wait to get this thing on the road. So, I have to giggle playing this thing because it is so awesome sounding. It's like, God, I just can't wait to get mics and put this on stage and put
All
great
right.
kick heads on the front and just get this thing out there on the road. So there you go. I'm really excited
Yeah.
about that. Thank you, Pearl.
Okay, very nice. So I see Jack Nicholson is over
No,
there as
right? Yeah,
well.
there you
Here's
go. Yeah,
Johnny. Yeah.
right.
Oh, right.
Here's Johnny.
All right, Gene. So you're coming to Europe again in less than a month, and you're coming to Poland as well for
That's
two shows. So are you excited?
very, yeah, getting to do, because we are doing the Darkness Descends album in its entirety. And we have two shows in Poland, one in Warsaw and then the other in Wrocław.
Yeah.
And, super excited for that. I think I played the venue in Wrocław before. And so excited for that. And, playing in Poland is always killer. I've been doing it for 30 plus years now, and playing those Metal Mania festivals back in the
Yeah.
day, and boy, that was intense, let me tell you. And then all the other shows we've done there over the years, and God, this will be my third or fourth shows in Poland this year, I think. I've
Hmm.
just played Warsaw maybe about a month and a half ago, a couple months ago with
Yeah.
Bear McCreary, and so
Hmm.
played Progressia, and I think that's in Warsaw.
Yeah, it
And
is. Hmm.
right, and then we got the two Dark Angel shows coming up, and so we're really excited about it, and all the festivals that we get to do as well. And yeah, so it's a real exciting. It's going to be an exciting summer for us. Totally.
Oh, right. Yeah. So can't wait. Can't wait to see
Excellent.
that.
Us
Uh,
too.
anyway, so let's talk about Dark Angel first. Okay, so tell me, how does it feel to return with Dark Angel and, well, first recording and then, well, releasing soon new material after so many years? It's been like the last full album was released over 30 years ago. So
34 to be exact.
34,
Yeah,
91, yeah.
1991. Time does not heal. Totally. So, um, well, it's really exciting, and just the fact that this is I guess this is Dark Angel showing that we wish to be a little more than just like a nostalgia act. Just
Hmm.
okay, you're going to come back and play some reunion shows for
Hmm.
until you just burn out on that. And this is Dark Angel. I God, it's like if we're going to return, why not do it correctly and, like put out a new record, write some new material. And, it took a moment for that to happen. It took 10 years of moments for that to happen. But, a decade or what, yeah, 12 dozen years, whatever. But here we are, we've got the new album pretty much in the can. The album is called Extinction Level Event, and we're super excited about it. I'm excited about it. I'm
Yeah.
excited about the material. I'm excited about the performances, the vocals, the music, the lyrics, the artwork, the whole approach of it. We're in a really exciting place for it right now. So
Mhm.
I think that anybody who's been waiting this whole time, we appreciate your patience, especially over the last 10 years or so when I first announced, yeah, we're going to put out a new record. And,
Yeah.
I've said it many times. What I should have said was nothing, and just write the material, get it out there, and then say, hey, we got a new album in the can, surprise everybody with it. But, things work out the way they do. And so now we're in this position where, it will be coming out before the end of the year. Definitely. We have a certain time frame we are hoping for its release. But I do know, unless something goes tragically awry, it's going to be out in 2025. Yeah. So yeah, we're really excited about the whole shebang. I love every song on the album, and I'm ready to play the entire album live. I think that'd be awesome. But I realize that might be much for people, but I do know that we are all working diligently on, when the album does come out, at least having enough songs ready to go from it that we could swap them in and swap them out, kind of thing, But yeah, I think, I don't know. I have no idea what the average public will. It's not my job to know if people are going to like it. I like it. I love it. So,
Right.
if people dig it, great. If people don't dig it, hey, that's your prerogative. The only thing we ask is check it out. That's all any musician wants, is just listen to it. You make up your mind. I'll defer to what you guys think, but listen to it and see what you think.
Yeah, well, people liking it is also a great benefit as well, I think.
Of course, yeah. Gives you some legs, but I've always been on the musical side of, you got to make yourself happy.
Yeah.
And when you are happy, when I am happy, I think that happiness and satisfaction kind of relates itself to the audience. Like, I put out how many albums I put out? Yeah, it's like I've done, I don't know, maybe 60 albums, 70, something like that. And I don't think there's any dud in any of the records I put out. So I've always been happy to have, all these kick-ass albums from all these kick-ass bands. And I think you hear my joy coming through on the drums, or if I'm writing riffs or playing guitar on the albums or whatever it is, that I think that kind of, you sense that energy. And so you can always tell when your favorite musician is having a good time doing what they're doing. And you can also tell when they're just phoning it in. There's many albums where you're like, this drummer phoned it in, this band sort of phoned it in.
Yeah, it's contagious even.
Absolutely. And so I have a feeling the energy coming off the new Extinction Level Event record from Dark Angel, I have a feeling that's going to be pretty contagious. Hey, we'll see. We will see. That's what my gut tells me. So there you go.
Okay, so I believe you.
All right, darn tootin'.
All right. But anyway, well, it's been like some time when you started creating the Extinction Level Event, right? Like when you started recording songs, or actually like writing songs. But how was the process? Because it's been like a few years, I believe. So how was the process, especially after Jim's passing?
Right. Well, the process started about a decade ago when...
Oh, even? Okay.
Yeah, it did. And that was when Jim had what turned out to be the title track, Extinction Level Event. He had that song in demo form. It had a separate title. It had a working title at the time. And he played it for me, and I just lost my mind over it. And I was like, this is so Dark Angel. This is so killer. And I had played Jim, like when Dark Angel first went on a hiatus back in 1992, we had a demo's worth of material. We had about 12 to 15 songs in demo form for the next album. That's what we were working on at the time, and we just kind of dissolved. And I happened to have that on a disc, and I remember playing it for Jim. I gave it to Jim, and he got back to me immediately saying, "Oh my God, this is amazing. This is our next record. Let's make all this material our next record." And I was like, well, God, Jim, that's cool. However, boy, I'm really excited about this song that you just showed me. And you just wrote this song. that's pretty exciting to me. And this material now is 20 something years old, 23 years old kind of thing. So how about we just take the approach of you and I get together as much as we can and just let's write from the ground up right now, doing Dark Angel music from today forward. That's cool. We got this album's worth of material in the can. Maybe we can do something with that material at some point, but let's move forward with brand new, fresh ideas, because I know I'm a better guitarist now than I was back then. So, and you are too, Jim. So let's see what we can do about that. And schedules permitting, we got together as much as we could. And, then the pandemic hit and we weren't able to really do much together during the pandemic. And one issue that we ran into was that Jim was never able to record stuff. Like, we'd write it together and kind of put it down on demos, but Jim was never able to get me what we threw down on demos over to a Dropbox folder or a file that you could send or anything. And so what would happen was I would get these phone recordings up to the speaker, and it just always sounded like
like the 80s demo on cassette recorder, right?
Kind of, yeah. And so I was like, I know there's cool stuff happening there, Jim, and I know when we're getting together writing, we're getting cool stuff together, but I don't know what to do. I've got so many just demos. I mean, like videos of him up to the speaker or his computer screen, and you see the song waveforms just running by, and he's recording.
Well, he did his best, right?
So the writing process, it took a few turns, and so what ended up happening was, some time ago, we got together and we put together an album's worth of material. It took about 4 months to write, and then we got in the studio as soon as we could. It was all pretty fresh, tracking the drums and the initial guitars, and then had to take a break for a while because my entire year that year was really, really busy, and so got all that out of the way and got back in the studio and finished off the basic tracks and all the guitars and the bass, and then we moved forward on the vocals, and Ron Reinhardt and myself, we tracked a bunch of vocals, and then we decided to take some time, get together, and I traveled out to Phoenix on a number of occasions, and I was writing lyrics the whole time and coming up with the vocal lines and putting everything down on demos. We got demos for all this. Thank God for GarageBand. This entire album is on GarageBand off the old, off the iPad. It's like in these days of Pro Tools and all that. I'm not very good on Pro Tools. But I taught myself GarageBand, and I'm in here tracking drums on a mic, and then going home and laying down guitars on the demos and stuff, and then laying down vocals and all that sort of stuff, and just coming up with all the material that we can move forward with. And so now we're to the point where, it's all for the most part, complete, getting all the recall masters taken care of, and the artwork is in place. And, it took us 2.5 years to get the artwork for the album. And our artist, Kane Gillis, he's worked diligently for a couple of years on the artwork, and a lot of the ideas were thrown back and forth and all that. And so, now we're to the point where at some point very, very soon, we are going to be able to announce a release date. And so I'm looking forward to that date. Absolutely.
Yeah. So it has to be good. It has to be perfect right now.
Right? Right. Yeah. We have no choice. But I do think it's good, and I do think it's great. Just my opinion, but I'm really excited about it, and
that's great. Yeah.
I'm always willing to take the Pepsi challenge with the material, and with anything that we do, with anybody else, but that's one thing that, people have asked me over time, like, hey, so what's it going to sound like? Is it going to sound like Darkness Descends? Is it going to sound like Time Does Not Heal? Is it going to sound like, what's it going to sound like? And I suppose there's elements of both, but I really wanted to kind of make, what would Dark Angel sound like today if Dark Angel just kept putting out records all those
Yeah.
years? Like, where would we be at today? Would we still have that same fire that we had in those earlier, 30 plus years ago? I think we do. So I'll let the world be the judge, but that's, like I say, all we ask is that you just check it out, make your own mind up on it. You guys check it out.
Yeah, I
Definitely.
will. I will.
Okay.
Okay, but I'm glad you feel really, really positive, like really eager to play.
Very.
Yeah. Uh,
Absolutely.
yeah. Okay, so about you playing drums. Yeah, so let's now talk about that. Because well, fans call you, I called you at the beginning of this interview, the atomic clock. So how do you maintain such precision and physical form?
Um, well, I I guess as I have become a more experienced age, I do I try to stay on top of my skills by never letting them rest. Like,
Hmm.
I'm always in the studio. Like, like I said, we got back on last, what day today? We got back on, I don't know, like Thursday, and then Friday I was in the studio. The first thing, we got back at 2 a.m. On
Yeah.
whatever day it
Well,
was last week. And the next morning at 10 a.m. I'm down here setting up, putting all my stuff together to start jamming. I haven't taken any days off. Like, all this road work that I've got, like all the Death Clock, Dark Angel,
yeah.
um, um, Bear McCreary, and also Death to All stuff.
Yeah.
I knew that this year was going to be really, really busy. So I started rehearsing for all of this on December 1st of 2024. And I think I've taken 2 days off since then. And one of those was Christmas, and the other was, I think I rehearsed on New Year's Eve. Maybe Christmas Eve and Christmas, maybe. But I've been in here if I'm not on the road. There's many times when you land from one project, and 2 days later you got to be in the plane to the next project, and it's like, I've got one day to get laundry done. You're not going to rest, but you've not paid attention to this project for this last month and a half of touring these other two projects. So you got to get in the studio and brush up on the material for that thing that you got to leave on the plane the next morning for. So, but that's just how it works. And I'm always trying to keep my chops up. And one thing that I have noticed over the years is that if for whatever reason there are things that occur where, like say, if I'm out, a Bear McCreary tour is not going to challenge me physically the way a Dark Angel or Death Clock is, but I notice I can kind of jump back in to the physicality
Yeah.
and the cardio or whatever that a Death Clock or a Dark Angel or a Death to All needs pretty quickly after the Bear run, which is it's definitely shows a different aspect of my drumming, a more well-rounded aspect to my drumming, as opposed to just for
Yeah.
12 songs a night kind of thing.
Okay. All right. All right. And keep going. So you said till 70. I say longer, even
All
more.
right, yeah.
Yeah.
Into my 70s, yeah, definitely. So yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm 57 now. 70 is 12 years away. No problem. 75 is whatever, it's
Yeah.
17 years away, and 80 is just whatever, 23 years away, whatever it's going to be, 12 years. It's shoot, man. As long as I just, remain healthy, I see no problem with like pummeling people until my 80s. That's my intent. I'm not gonna hang up the sticks at some point. I am going to be crushing
Yes.
until very much longer than this. And I admit, when I was 19 or 18 doing Darkness Descends, I never thought this far in advance that hey, in 40 years from now, are you going to be playing this material? Never even thought about that. But
Who did, right?
here we are now,
Yeah,
definitely doing
exactly.
it. So there you go.
Yeah, beautiful stuff. Beautiful. Okay, Gene, this one's from a friend of mine, the question, because he's also a drummer, Federico. So he's Italian, from Sardinia. He hates when you say he's Italian. So he's from Sardinia. Anyway, he wanted to know because he is left-handed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and since you are left-handed as well,
No.
right? Not really, because there are like various information, different information
Right.
about that. So
Mm-hmm.
what's the deal?
Well, I am ambidextrous,
Yeah.
and I think we all are, especially as a drummer. I think all drummers have to display some form of ambidexterity, and I think everybody is ambidextrous to a large degree. Throughout my entire life, there's things I do left-handed solely, and things I do right-handed solely, and things that I can do with either hand. I tend to be right hand dominant. I could write or throw with either hand, but I write with my right hand. I eat left-handed. I shave left-handed. I chuck a ball for the most part right-handed. And so a lot of that just kind of works out the way it is. And the whole reason why I play left-handed and open-handed, I've said it for many years, it's directly to where my record player was located when I was a kid. Because I would sit on the corner of my bed, and so I would sit, like, there's my closet right there, and here's my little record player over here. So, and the bed, the top corner would be this way, and so I would kind of, my legs would be on the side of the bed here, and the top corner is up here. So that's kind of the high. If you ever notice, I've said this many times. You go do, 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 do. In terms of like the middle part of your bed being kind of lower sounding, the top part is a little higher sounding. So I'm like, there's my record player there. I'll pound along just on the bed. This was before I started like air drumming, but I pound along on the bed. And so I'd change the record right there. I'd come right over here, pound along on the bed, top corner being the snare, right hand right there, left hand, right, bop, 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 kind of thing. So that's the entire reason why I'm open-handed. If my record player was over on the other side of the bed, I would be a typical right-handed player,
Yeah.
So one thing I've also done is I've turned my legs into ambidextrous things.
Yeah.
I play left foot lead much of the night. I play right foot lead much of the night. A lot of my thrash metal beats, I'll play left-footed, but a lot of my thrash metal beats, the simple polka beats, I'll play right-footed. My double bass, when I'm playing fast double bass, usually a left foot lead. If I'm playing some kind of 6/8, triplet, boodly deadly doodly deadly doodly deadly doodly dead, that's usually a right-footed lead. Bump a tap, bump a tap, bump a tap, bump a tap kind of feel to it. Boodly doodly doodly doo. So there you go. So, and there's many times when you're stuck playing somebody else's kit, and they're a right-hander. You don't have the ride over there on the left. It's like, hey, I'm going to play your kit, but you got only one ride over here. So okay, we'll play right-handed ride over there, kind of thing. So you just got to be able to zig and zag with, maneuver your way around each kit, there you go.
Yeah. Well, I think you are like especially gifted with that.
Well, I don't
think that everybody has it, this ability.
Well, we'll see. I definitely don't think there's anything I do that's all that really special, on the drums. And I do get told that, when somebody's like, hey man, that was a really cool thing that you did there, I'm like, this can't everybody do this kind of thing? So
there we are.
I might apply myself, but I do feel like anything I do on the drums, if I can do it, you can do it. That's definitely the way I feel about stuff.
Okay. Quite humble, but
well, I've always said
I don't know if
they ain't rocket science. They're just drums. So
okay, if you say so. All right. Okay, so Gene, as a huge fan of death. I mean, like the band, of course, right?
Right.
Yeah, because Death has been my favorite band since I was a kid. And I need to ask you, well, you told, well, probably everything about Chuck, uh, but you also said that, and not only you, but other members of his bands, that he was a really good cook.
Absolutely. He
Yeah,
was, man. Yeah.
yeah.
Even
So,
I,
yeah, yeah.
I even put that in the special thanks on individual thought patterns. You know, when sometimes you thank your other guys in your
I
band,
just read them the other day. Yeah.
right? I wrote, I think Chuck, you know, best cook in death metal kind of thing. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah,
yeah, he was a great
but
cook, man. He just every night he was always whipping up something really fun and really cool. He was very handy in the kitchen, totally, and you know, and that was I remember the when I flew out to Florida and he picked me up at the airport and we stopped off at a restaurant on the way home and grabbed a bite to eat. And he was noticing, he was remarking to me, he's like, "Hey Gene, I see you know, you've lost some weight here, man. You're slimming and trimming there a little bit. Um, and you know, what have you been doing?" And I was like, "Well, at that point, you know, I told him I've gone fat free. I'm not eating fats and this kind of thing." And he's like, and he points at his own gut and he's like, "Oh, you know, I could stand to lose a few pounds." Chuck was skinny, you know, he was
mm,
never overweight, but he's like, "I can stand to lose a few pounds. I'll cook fat free for us, and you know, hey man, we'll both slim down a little bit." And so, you know, sweating in the sweaty sweat box that is Florida, dropped a lot of pounds over that little period of time working on individual thought patterns, and then coming back to do symbolic every night. Chuck was making something really fun and really cool, and you know, pretty darn fat free and pretty
yeah.
healthy, and yeah, man, he was a great cook. You know, Chuck really did. I really saw Chuck preferring uh, the simple things. You know,
Okay.
he liked playing guitar. He liked his animals. He liked working in his garden and putting together a cool meal for us every night. You know, and just at the end of, you know, after the day's done, cranking some tunes. You know, working on material a lot. You
Mm.
know, so. But you know, Chuck had a pretty simple life. He was relatively uncomplicated in those regards. You know, so there you go.
Yeah, but was there anything? In the kitchen, was there anything from the dishes he prepared you remember the most?
Well,
Something
God,
like unique?
he was always whipping together a really good lasagna, you know,
Oh,
from scratch kind of thing. And you know, I remember at that time he had just gotten a whatever those things are. They're like a dehydrator, you know, where he would marinate, you know, cut strips of steak and then marinate those for a day or so in some great, you know, seasonings that he put together, a
wow.
great sauce, and then he would put them on the dehydrator overnight, and then we'd have just gigantic bags of beef jerky that he would put together, you know, homemade beef jerky and all
Hmm.
that kind of
Ah,
stuff. So,
okay. Yeah.
yeah, man, he was really good at that kind of thing, you know. So yeah, just every night he was just whipping up something pretty cool. You know, a lot of it was from scratch. I know we did a lot
Yeah.
of grocery store shopping, a lot of grocery store runs for dinner that night, kind of thing. So that was pretty good.
Okay. All right. I'm becoming hungry, so let's move
I
on.
hear you.
Yeah, let's move on. Right. So, uh, about you, about your drumming. So, what's more important to you? So, is it technique or emotion? Both? What is it?
Um, I had well, I guess it's probably emotions, like feel. You know, because my techniques, I do feel like I've my techniques are not for everybody and they're not designed for everybody. And I have a whole lot of approaches that other people like totally scratch their head at. Like, why would you take that? Like, how, you know? And, you know, when it comes to technique, I don't know that I'm the most technically proficient drummer, but I do like making the drums have emotions. I like making them speak or sing or something. I try to bring the emotions out on the drums, but there, when it comes to technique, I mean, there's tons of guys out there that crush me totally. But I do think I am able to bring something out in the drums that is solely like mine, maybe, like when it comes to like, say, like an approach, like say beat writing. I always, like, from when I was a kid, it was like, you absorb all your favorite drummers and you take in all the things that they bring to you, and then you apply whatever you've learned. And I'm a self-taught drummer. I've never, I'm a musical illiterate. I don't read music at all. So everything I've taught myself, I've tried to utilize in my approach. And trying to write beats, for instance, I would try to, from Darkness Descends on, I would try to write beats that were, maybe the average drummer was not doing, because there were a ton of other thrash metal drummers and metal drummers and stuff. And so I would always try to, come up with something like, say, putting rudiments to the kicks, like in, like, say, like a Darkness Descends with a diddly-diddly-dun, diddly-diddly-dun, diddly-diddly-dun. Most drummers would just play through it, and that kind of slow snare on top of quick beats. And then like with a Death is Certain, Life Is Not, coming up with like patterns, like militaristic sort of patterns that I would try to come up with on the kicks, rudiments and stuff. It's like I can play these rudiments on my hand, I guess, so I can do them on my feet as well. So just try to develop that when I was a youngin'. And I've had folks come to me and say, look, like that was an approach that nobody else had tried before. You're the first person like I remember Sean Reiner, before he passed away, he was telling me the same thing. He was like, when I heard Death is Certain, Life Is Not, and you're doing these patterns, I was like, never heard patterns on a kick drum before. And I'm like, I'm sure I'm not the first person to play him. He's like, yeah, but to my young ears, you created that to me. And so, and so and like another approach that I would try on the drums is I would try to play the kick drums to match the guitar riff, or I would try to write the guitar riff to match a kick drum pattern. And back in the Darkness Ascends era and the Leave Scars, it started where you write a chunk on the guitar, chunking on the E, and you write a pattern to kind of match it, and then like say on Time Does Not Heal with the match that. And I was doing that because I was like, well, hey, I don't hear anybody else doing that, so hey, that's one little Dark Angel approach that you can have to make that. That's Dark Angel's little, introduction to that's your thing. That's Dark Angel's thing. And, and that's a pretty common approach these days, like lots of bands do that. So, I was always trying to move the drums forward. Like trying to elevate myself as a drummer. And if you happen to elevate the instrument itself, killer, but I'm just always just trying to make myself like, hey, try to do things other people aren't doing, because that's something that's always been important to me. Is like, if you got 100 people doing that, try to be the one person doing this. And a lot of it stuck, I guess. So that's pretty cool. But I remember Dom Famularo, the legendary clinician. He had mentioned, hey, if you're a drummer, steal what you can. And because that's how you get to be a better drummer. But if you're a drummer who steals, just remember, people are going to steal from you. I'm like, well, I tell you what, even to go one step further than that, it's like, sure, I steal tons. I freely admit it. I do not gatekeep where I got these beats from, or that beat, or that approach, or anything. I'm always very quick to tell people what's up. But for everything I would take out of the pot and make mine. I would try to put a dozen things into that pot and try to put back, you know,
Yeah, yeah.
here's some crazy beats that nobody's ever tried. Here's an approach, two rides, kick drums going with the guitar riff. There you go. And, you know, introducing the bembe beat to metal. I'd never heard that before. So that kind of thing, you know, just trying to just level yourself up. But, you know, if you're going to take things out of that basket.
Yeah, it's true.
Stuff in that basket. So there you
Yeah,
go.
great. Okay, Gene, because we got like 4 minutes left, and for the end, I would like to ask you like really quick questions. Your favorites, your tops, like quick shots. Okay, like question answer, not only about music. But first, okay, your favorite artist or band of all time?
Stevie Wonder. Yeah, he's my favorite artist. He's my favorite drummer. You know, I love Stevie Wonder. You know, and you know, I mean, my metalness is pretty well established. So you know, to go outside of that for a bit, you know, think about somebody like Stevie Wonder, Queen, another you know legendary band. Since I was a kid, you know.
Okay. All right. Next one. Your favorite song or songs to play live?
Favorite song to play live? Usually that is something that is it changes from band to band. So one of my all-time favorites, I mean, because gosh, there's so many of them. I would have to go with what I am doing currently. So what is my favorite song from, like, say, I'll just randomly choose a Death Clock song. Okay, so what's my favorite song from Death Clock? I love playing Aortic Desecration from Death Clock. That's from the latest Death album, 4. And I'm just trying to keep current to what happens now. With Dark Angel, I love playing the new tracks. I love playing Circular Firing Squad. That's a really challenging song to play on drums. And that's one thing that I've noticed. I thought the drums were taking a back seat on this record because I became such a guitarist on this latest Dark Angel album. And now that I'm in here rehearsing all these songs that I played in rehearsal to record and left the songs behind, I'm like, dude, you wrote some stupidly challenging drum parts for yourself on this new Dark Angel record. I'm like, how did you even come up with this in the first place, man? You suck. So there you go. I'm really going to enjoy. There's a new song on the new record. It's going to be track 3 on the album. Not going to give the title away from it, but it is definitely track 3 on the album.
Okay, we'll remember
Looking forward to playing that one.
Okay. And quickly, what would you like to be your last meal?
My own flesh. Why not? Yeah, man, see what I taste like, man. I as a drummer, I've always tried to be tasty. As a human, maybe I'll be twice as tasty.
Okay, and your favorite movie?
My favorite movie, boy, I'm very fortunate. I got to go see Spinal Tap again in the movie theaters. So that will make that my 15th time in the theaters seeing it. And it's been 40 years since I did see it in the theaters. Spinal Tap is an all-time classic. And I love all the classics from Goodfellas and Godfathers 1 and 2 to Slapshot. And, you know, that was an old Paul Newman hockey movie.
Yeah.
So,
there we are. Okay, Gene, because we need to finish less than a minute. So, Gene, thank you very much. It was an honor. So, see you in Poland. Stay healthy until you're 200 years old. So,
well, thank you very much.
Have a nice one.
Thank you. We'll see you in a couple of weeks. See you in a month.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.